The last days of Earth. The sky above Earth no longer looked like the sky of home. Every night, when people lifted their heads, they saw more than stars. They saw warships, alien silhouettes gliding like shadows across the heavens, their metal hulls reflecting cold starlight. The enemy armadas had gathered, countless in number, surrounding the solar system like vultures circling over a dying prey. Inside underground shelters, families huddled close, speaking in whispers as if the aliens could hear them through rock and steel. Children asked questions their parents couldn't answer. Will the aliens burn the oceans? Will we still see tomorrow? Adults had no words. They carried silence like a second skin. In command bunkers deep under mountains, the last leaders of Earth argued with tired voices. Some demanded surrender. Others insisted on one final stand, even if it meant the end of everyone. But no matter which path they chose, the outcome seemed the same. The alien coalition had ships, weapons, and technology far beyond Earth's reach. Humanity was cornered, and the galaxy waited for the last spark of resistance to be snuffed out. Hope was thin. And yet, hope has a strange way of clinging to desperate hearts. Among the soldiers and the scattered colonists, a rumor spread. A whisper passed from mouth to mouth, from one dying city to the next. They called it the Shadow Fleet. Some swore they had seen phantom warships vanish into asteroid belts long ago, ships too large to be real, too silent to be ordinary. Others laughed, saying it was only an old myth told to keep morale alive. But in the final days of Earth, the myth became a prayer. Mothers whispered it to their children before sleep. Old veterans muttered it like a charm against despair. The shadows will come. The shadows will rise. Still nothing happened. The alien coalition grew bolder. From Mars to Titan, they positioned their warships, preparing for the final strike. Broadcasts filled the skies with threats. "Earth is finished," one alien commander declared in a voice transmitted across the system. "Your planet will be ash. Your people will kneel, or they will die." Humanity answered with silence. Then, in one of the last remaining bunkers, a single transmission was sent out, not to the aliens, but to every colony, every outpost, every scattered human far beyond Earth's orbit. The message carried the weight of despair. "Earth cannot hold much longer," the voice said. "This may be our final broadcast." Civilians wept when they heard it. Soldiers gritted their teeth and readied for the impossible fight. Across the stars, human colonies prepared to mourn their birthplace. But then, in the depths of space, far from Earth's skies, something shifted. It was small at first, almost invisible. A silent signal, faint and ancient, pulsed from a forgotten sector of the asteroid belt, a heartbeat in the void. Moments later, more signals answered. Cold, precise, calculated. Long dormant engines stirred. Hidden hangars cracked open, releasing air that had been trapped for decades. Shapes began to move, their outlines merging with the shadows of rock and dust. These were not the fragile defense ships Earth had once fielded. They were giants, their hulls black as void, their engines swallowing light itself. Cloaked in technology no alien had ever seen, the vessels drifted awake, as if they had been waiting for this moment all along. Inside the command core of one such ship, a young human officer opened his eyes to the flicker of ancient screens. He had trained in secret his entire life, waiting for the day when Earth's need would outweigh the silence of secrecy. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. "The enemy believes Earth will fall," he said quietly to the crew around him. "Let us show them they are wrong." The order echoed through the hidden fleet. Some swore they had seen phantom warships vanish into asteroid belts long ago, ships too large to be real, too silent to be ordinary. Others laughed, saying it was only an old myth told to keep morale alive. But in the final days of Earth, the myth became a prayer. Mothers whispered it to their children before sleep. Old veterans muttered it like a charm against despair. The shadows will come. The shadows will rise. Still, nothing happened. The alien coalition grew bolder. From Mars to Titan, they positioned their warships, preparing for the final strike. Broadcasts filled the skies with threats. Earth is finished, one alien commander declared in a voice transmitted across the system. Your planet will be ash, your people will kneel, or they will die. Humanity answered with silence. Then, in one of the last remaining bunkers, a single transmission was sent out. Not to the aliens, but to every colony, every outpost, every scattered human far beyond Earth's orbit. The message carried the weight of despair. Earth cannot hold much longer, the voice said. This may be our final broadcast. Civilians wept when they heard it. Soldiers gritted their teeth and readied for the impossible fight. Across the stars, human colonies prepared to mourn their birthplace. But then, in the depths of space, far from Earth's skies, something shifted. It was small at first, almost invisible. A silent signal, faint and ancient, pulsed from a forgotten sector of the asteroid belt, a heartbeat in the void. Moments later, more signals answered. Cold, precise, calculated. Long dormant engines stirred. Hidden hangars cracked open, releasing air that had been trapped for decades. Shapes began to move, their outlines merging with the shadows of rock and dust. These were not the fragile defense ships Earth had once fielded. They were giants, their hulls black as void, their engines swallowing light itself. Cloaked in technology no alien had ever seen, the vessels drifted awake, as if they had been waiting for this moment all along. Inside the command core of one such ship, a young human officer opened his eyes to the flicker of ancient screens. He had trained in secret his entire life, waiting for the day when Earth's need would outweigh the silence of secrecy. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. "The enemy believes Earth will fall," he said quietly to the crew around him. "Let us show them they are wrong." The order echoed through the hidden fleet. Engines roared, but in silence, hidden behind cloaks that bent reality itself. One by one, the colossal ships of the Shadow Fleet slid into formation, invisible to the thousands of alien eyes scanning the solar system. Above Earth, the alien coalition began its final approach, unaware that in the dark, humanity's deadliest secret had awoken. And for the first time in many long years, the galaxy was about to fear the name of Earth. Whispers in the dark. The alien coalition moved with the arrogance of hunters who had already won. Their fleets stretched like silver rivers across the solar system, shimmering with the light of countless stars. Commanders laughed in their private channels, mocking Earth's silence. "They cower in their caves," one alien general sneered. "When the order comes, we will burn their oceans and scatter their bones among the moons." The galaxy agreed. Dozens of species tuned in to the transmissions, waiting to witness the end of humanity. For centuries, humans had been dismissed as stubborn but insignificant. Now their destruction would be a lesson to anyone else who dared defy the will of the coalition. But far from Earth, in the cold, forgotten shadows of the asteroid belt, other whispers stirred. Buried in rock and dust were the hidden tombs of war machines. Colossal ships, black as midnight, rested in silence. Their outlines blended perfectly with the stone around them. Generations ago, they had been built in secret, under the eyes of no alien and few humans. They had never been acknowledged, never spoken of in public. Only a handful of commanders even knew they existed. They called them the Shadow Fleet. Now, at the edge of extinction, they stirred awake. The first ship to rise from its cradle was vast, longer than cities, bristling with weapon systems that had never been tested in open battle. Its armor was not like other ships' plating. It seemed to drink in the starlight, swallowing it whole. Around it, smaller vessels detached from asteroid shells, unfolding like wings of black steel. Inside one control chamber, officers strapped themselves into stations that had been waiting decades for activation. The youngest among them had been born aboard these secret vessels, raised only for this moment. They had trained without ever seeing the Earth they were meant to defend. Their voices trembled with awe as the consoles lit up for the first time. Systems online. Weapons cold but ready. Cloak engaged. The commander of the lead warship, his face lined with years of silence, spoke the words that broke the centuries-long sleep. "Unleash them." The Shadow Fleet moved. One by one the ships slid from the asteroids, engines firing without sound. They did not glow like ordinary drives. Instead, their wake shimmered with strange distortions, rippling space itself. To alien eyes, they were invisible, nothing more than drifting shadows hidden in the black. The alien coalition continued its march, blind to the predators circling around them. They celebrated as Earth's orbital defenses flickered and died. They didn't know that new hunters had entered the field. Back on Earth, in the bunkers where despair had settled heavy in the air, strange readings began appearing on the last operational screens. A single technician stared wide-eyed as ghost signals appeared in the system's edge. At first he thought it was a glitch, faint energy spikes, ships where no ships should be, but the patterns were too precise. He whispered the words no one had dared to believe. The shadows. They're real. Word spread like fire through command centers. Old veterans leaned forward, eyes wet with disbelief. Civilians huddled in bunkers felt their pulses race as rumors raced ahead of facts. Could the legends be true? Could Earth's final hope rise from the void? Meanwhile, the alien coalition began its final bombardment drills. Massive cannons aimed toward Earth, preparing to break the planet's crust with the first strike. On their private channels, alien officers placed bets on how long humanity's last defenses would last. But then, one of their patrol ships reported something strange. "Command, we are picking up distortions near Sector 12, possible asteroid movement." The report was dismissed. "Ignore it, Earth is already beaten." Moments later, the patrol ship vanished. No explosion, no distress call, just silence. Then another ship disappeared, and another. Confusion swept through the alien lines. Commanders barked orders, sensors scanned wildly, but nothing appeared on their scopes. It was as if invisible predators stalked them in the dark. Panic was not far behind. One alien captain screamed across the fleet-wide channel, his voice shrill with terror. "Something is out here with us. They are striking from the shadows." And for the first time the galaxy realized the truth. Humanity had been preparing all along. The first strike. The first bombardments began with the precision of executioners. From orbit, the alien coalition fired beams of white fire that cut through Earth's skies. Entire defense platforms melted into slag, their crews erased in seconds. Cities trembled as shock waves rolled across continents. Deep below the surface, bunkers shook so hard that lights flickered, walls cracked, and people screamed. Humanity braced for the end. But in the cold expanse beyond Mars, the shadows were already in motion. The lead warship, larger than any alien cruiser, drifted silently into position. Its hull shimmered with distortions as its cloaking field bent light, sound, even radiation. To enemy scanners, it did not exist. Its weapons, however, were very real. On the bridge, the commander stood at the center console, his voice steady. "Target the rear line of their assault fleet, make them bleed first." The order spread across the Shadow Fleet. From silence, death was born. The first shot was not seen, only felt. An alien battleship, proud and ancient, exploded in a blossom of fire, broken into fragments in the blink of an eye. Its escorts spun wildly, screaming on the comms. No enemy was visible, no trajectory detected. Before panic could settle, a second strike came, then a third. Entire squadrons were torn apart, ripped from existence by weapons the galaxy had never witnessed. The alien coalition's arrogance shattered instantly. What is happening? Where are they firing from? Sensors show nothing. Nothing! In the chaos, Earth's surviving defense stations powered their weapons again. For the first time in weeks, they fired not in despair, but with hope. Wreckage of enemy ships rained across the skies like burning meteors. Civilians in bunkers stared at the fiery trails, not with fear, but with awe. The aliens scrambled to reorganize. Fleets tightened into defensive formations, shielding their command ships. But the shadows were everywhere. And nowhere. One alien general screamed into the fleet-wide channel, "Invisible ships! They strike from the void!" On the human side, the Shadow Fleet moved like wolves hunting in the night. Ships slid between asteroid fields, emerging only long enough to deliver devastating strikes before melting back into silence. Their weapons were not simple cannons, they bent reality itself. Gravity lances pierced ships like paper. Particle disruptors dissolved shields in seconds. Every shot was a lesson in terror. Panic spread across the coalition. Officers shouted over each other, their voices breaking. "We cannot fight what we cannot see. Retreat. No, hold position. They are few in number." The lie died in his throat as another flagship erupted into shards of molten metal. Above Earth, soldiers and civilians alike began to believe the impossible. The myth was real. The Shadow Fleet existed. Humanity had not been waiting to die. They had been waiting to strike. In one bunker, a child pressed her face against a cracked screen showing the night sky filled with falling debris. "Mama, we're winning?" The mother could not answer, because for the first time, she dared to believe it. The coalition, desperate to regain control, ordered a mass strike on Earth, hoping to finish the planet before the shadows could destroy them. Cannons aligned, energy cores charged. And then the shadows revealed a new horror. From the largest warship, a weapon like no one had ever seen unleashed its fury. The space around it twisted, and then a column of crushing force erupted forward. It wasn't fire, it wasn't plasma, it was gravity itself, sharpened into a spear. The alien warships in its path imploded as if squeezed by an unseen fist. Entire fleets vanished in silence, collapsing into themselves. The alien channels were filled with screams. "Impossible! Impossible!" The commander of the Chateau, Adao, spoke again, calm and cold. "You wanted Earth's surrender. You will receive Earth's answer." The first strike was complete. The galaxy had just witnessed the impossible, humanity turning fear into firepower, and for the first time, the predators of the stars knew what it felt like to be hunted. The turning tide, the battlefield had become a graveyard. Where once the alien coalition's fleets had stretched across the solar system in perfect formation, now the void was littered with fire, debris, and silence. The first strike of the Shadow Fleet had torn a hole through the enemy armada, leaving their commanders reeling. But arrogance dies slowly. Alien generals barked desperate orders across the channels, their voices shaking but full of pride. "Hold your ground. Reform lines. They are only a handful of ships. Overwhelm them." Obediently, the fleets pulled together, massive cruisers locking into tight spheres of defense around their command carriers. Energy shields rippled, weapons charged, and for a brief moment, order returned. The aliens believed numbers would crush the ghosts in the dark. They were wrong. The shadows didn't charge head-on. They danced. One by one, the black warships slipped through the gaps, striking with surgical precision. A destroyer flickered into existence just long enough to unleash a volley of plasma torpedoes before vanishing back into nothingness. Another appeared directly above a carrier, dropping gravity mines that shattered its shield and ripped its hull apart. Each strike was chaos. Each disappearance was terror. Coalition fleets fired blindly into the void, unleashing storms of light and energy at empty space. Some of their shots hit their own ships, others tore through their own formations. The once proud armada had become a panicked mob, thrashing in the dark while unseen predators circled them. Back on Earth, soldiers inside the last command bunkers watched the feeds in disbelief. Alien wreckage burned in orbit lay. Falling stars. A young lieutenant whispered what every human was now beginning to feel. "We're not losing anymore. We're winning." Civilians in underground shelters gathered around cracked screens, their fear slowly replaced by awe. For the first time in weeks, people dared to cheer. Children shouted in joy, their voices echoing through tunnels that had once carried only sobs. Above them, the tide was turning. The aliens tried one last desperate tactic. They pulled their dreadnoughts, the largest, most powerful ships, into a wall, their cannons aimed squarely at Earth. Even if they could not win against the shadows, they would destroy humanity's home in a blaze of vengeance. The order was given. Weapons began to charge. The ground on Earth trembled as energy built in the skies. And then the shadows revealed their true power. From the center of the fleet, the flagship's hull opened like the eye of a god. Out spilled weapons not meant to fight ships, but to annihilate armies. They called them gravity lances. beams of compressed space itself. The lances struck the dreadnoughts. One after another, the massive ships folded like paper, their frames twisting under invisible pressure. Armor cracked, energy cores ruptured. In moments, ships the size of cities were reduced to drifting rubble. The alien fleet screamed in disbelief. "No! No! This is not possible! They're weapons! What are these weapons? Retreat! Retreat!" The coalition's formations collapsed. Panic overtook discipline. Some ships fled at full speed, abandoning their commanders. Others tried to fight back, only to be swallowed by the black wolves hunting them. And yet, pride held some in place. A handful of alien generals refused to flee, their rage louder than their fear. They screamed curses at humanity, vowing vengeance even as their ships were cut down. Their deaths were as futile as their words. The Shadow Fleet pressed its advantage, striking with merciless precision. Soon, the battlefield that had once been a death sentence for Earth became something else entirely, a victory. Earth's surviving defense stations reignited their cannons, firing alongside the Shadows. For the first time, humans and their secret fleet fought as one. The Coalition's arrogance was gone, replaced with raw terror. The galaxy had come to witness humanity's death. Instead, it witnessed their rebirth. From the darkened bunkers of Earth to the hidden colonies light years away, the message spread. We are not broken. We are not finished. We fight in the shadows, and the shadows fight for us. And in that moment, the universe learned a new truth. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was the hunter. The turning tide had come. The coalition was collapsing, but the war was not yet over. Because the shadows were not finished. Not yet. Shadows over the galaxy, the battlefield had gone silent. Wreckage drifted through the solar system like grave markers, the shattered remains of an armada that once promised Earth's doom. The alien coalition, so vast and confident, now burned in pieces across the void. And the shadows. The shadows still lingered. The black warships hovered like predators in the dark, their outlines barely visible even after victory. They had fought without banners, without warning, and without mercy. Now they floated in eerie silence, weapons ready, engines cold. Watching. Waiting. Across the alien channels, there was only chaos. Commanders shouted over one another, their voices cracked with disbelief. "Our fleets are gone. We cannot match them. Pull back. Retreat. Retreat." One by one, alien ships activated their jump drives, vanishing into hyperspace in a desperate scramble to escape. Some fled without orders. Others abandoned entire formations, leaving allies to be torn apart by the shadows. Pride and unity had broken. Only fear remained. The galaxy had expected Earth to kneel. Instead, they watched the strongest coalition in history run on. Earth's surface, the mood had changed as quickly as the battle. Where once there had been despair, now there was thunder. In bunkers and shelters, people shouted, clapped, and wept with joy. For the first time in living memory, humanity had not just survived, they had humiliated their enemies. A broadcast went out, carried on the same frequencies that had once delivered alien threats. The voice was calm, measured, almost cold. "This is Earth. You came here expecting surrender. You came expecting silence. Instead, you met the shadows. If you return, you will not find mercy. You will only find the dark." That message echoed across the stars. In distant systems, alien civilians huddled around their screens, hearing words they had never thought possible. The humans, once thought weak, had revealed themselves as something far worse, something patient, something cunning, something terrifying. The Shadow Fleet was no longer a myth. It was a warning. In the Galactic Council, where representatives of dozens of species gathered, the chamber erupted into chaos as reports poured in. Some demanded an immediate alliance against Earth. Others whispered that it was too late, that if Earth could hide such weapons, no one was safe. One counselor's words silenced the room. If this is what they built in secret, what are they building now? The thought spread like poison. If humanity could hide entire fleets for decades, what else could they hide? Were there more weapons buried in other star systems? More fleets cloaked in the dark, waiting for the moment to strike? No one knew. And Earth did not answer. The Shadow Fleet, having completed its task, did not linger in the light. With silent precision, the warships vanished back into the void, their cloaks re-engaging. One by one, they disappeared from all scanners, melting back into the blackness that had birthed them. Even Earth, his own citizens, never saw them return. They were ghosts, guardians in the dark, seen only when humanity's back was against the wall. And just as suddenly they were gone again. But their message remained. The galaxy had changed. Where once humanity was seen as a fragile race on a fragile world, now they were seen as shadows, unpredictable, unbreakable, and dangerous. The coalition that had come to conquer them now limped home, scarred not only in ships, but in spirit. And in the deep night of space, whispers began to spread. Whispers that would reach every corner of the galaxy. Earth was supposed to fall. Instead, they unleashed the shadows. If they could do this once, they can do it again. The war was not over. Humanity had not sought conquest, not yet. But the galaxy now knew. Earth would never kneel. Earth would never die quietly. The shadows would see to that. And as the last alien warship fled from the system, a chilling thought remained in every commander's mind. If this was what humanity had kept hidden in one fleet, what would happen if the shadows came for the galaxy itself?